Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to Fiaura. I'm sorry this video is a little bit late. I got caught in the Warhammer Total War chaos and was playing orcs on live stream until about 10 o'clock tonight. Let's take a look here. We are actually here to review the BMP-2 Armored Fighting Vehicle. So we are going to be comparing it with its Tier 5 competitors, the BMD-2 and the Fox. Now the Fox is my personal favorite vehicle for various reasons, but let's start with the Fox. So, beginning, the BMP-2 does not have near the alpha damage of the Fox autocannon, but it does come out with a 30-round clip as opposed to the Fox's 6-round clip. The Fox does actually have a higher round per minute somehow. Go figure. Apparently its gun just fires faster. But it has a much lower damage per minute, lower penetration, and lower hit points, as well as thinner armor. Not that armor matters too terribly much in an AFV. Also, the Fox's armor is made of aluminum versus the BMP-2's steel. The Fox is faster, but the BMP-2 has longer view range, though worse camouflage rating. They both have the same gun depression, but the Fox's gun is significantly more accurate. The Fox has the quicker aim time and has the quicker turret. Granted, in order to outperform a BMP-2, the Fox needs all of those features because the BMP-2 can machine gun you to death in seconds in practice. So, just remember though, the Fox can outrun you, and because of its much superior camouflage rating, is much more likely to spot you first rather than you spotting it first. Against the BMD-2. Now these two vehicles pack almost identical weapons, with the BMD-2 having less damage per minute because it has a much longer reload and its weapon takes longer to fire, but has longer time between rounds basically. However, the BMD-2 does come with an armor retrofit, which does allow it to have more hit points than the BMP-2 if you don't equip it with an armor retrofit, which I have not. The BMP-2 has thicker armor and has a higher chance of bouncing autocannon rounds, but don't really expect either of these vehicles to ever bounce anything. It's not really going to happen very often. The BMD-2 is actually slower at top end, but quicker to accelerate, and has a faster hull traverse and better ground resistances, might I add. In addition to this, the BMD-2, just like the Fox, has a much superior camouflage rating and is much more likely to see you before you see it, even though you have the longer view range. The BMD-2 is also more accurate than you, faster aim time, and a quicker turret. The biggest thing to also take into account here is the BMP-2's missile. Has a penetration of 587, takes 14.9 seconds to load one in, and does 418 points of damage. Whereas the BMD-2's has a higher alpha and penetration, but takes longer to load. Lastly, the Fox, while it only carries 10 missiles compared to the 30, the Fox's missiles have a lower penetration, but a significantly higher alpha damage, over 100 points more. In addition to the fact that the Fox's missiles take 24 seconds to reload because there's loading, but they get 2 per shot, meaning it's 12 seconds per missile. And the Fox only has a 1.5 second aim time, or wait time. Well, they both have the same. But at the end of the day, I kind of like the Fox's missiles better because of that massive higher punch. So, characteristics of this vehicle you need to be aware of. It is slow to get off the start line. You need to already be moving if you anticipate having to dodge shots. Second, it is a very large target for an armored fighting vehicle. Its hull is nearly the size of a Leopard 1. It is a very large hulled AFV. It has terrible gun depression. Be aware of these things when you are driving it, or you will suffer the consequences. Now, next, retrofits. Move my camera. I prefer the augmented optics to give it an increased view range, and thereby ensure that it's going to have a longer view range than the Fox or the BMD-2. in addition to enhanced shell materials for shooting on the move, because you really need to be moving if you're going to engage in close-in combat with this vehicle. You already need to be going full speed, otherwise you are very likely to die. Standards consumables, and Sabrina Washington being the obvious AFV commander is obvious AFV commander. I do recommend bringing a couple clips of HEI in case you are in a position where you can shoot at something but you can't penetrate it, neither with the missile nor with your autocannon fire. Take into account that you also have one of the highest penetration missiles, but an extremely weak damage charge, meaning your missile won't do a hell of a lot of damage. You have to remember that. You also come with 30 of them, whereas the BMD2 comes with 20 and the Fox comes with 10. So you have a better sustained damage once the Fox runs out of missiles or the BMD2 runs out of missiles. But if you've had to fire 20 or 10 missiles, it's been a long fucking match. So don't rely on you having a higher sustained damage. More importantly, because of how much harder it is to position the gun due to the turret's positioning, it becomes a very, very risky choice, oftentimes, to expose yourself to shoot. It's better to make sure you're not spotted instead of exposing yourself to shoot with this vehicle. Now, today's PvP is brought to us by Geek Lab, as we are going to be watching him play on Lost Island. So thank you very much, Geek Lab, for this replay footage. I appreciate it, as it means that I can review this vehicle finally without actually having to play it myself. I actually don't really like the BMD2. So here we have Geek Lab setting up on Lost Island, and he's going to show us how to play a BMD2. We hope. Now, he is a little late loading in. And this section of Lost Island, no matter what computer you have, does have very, very bad frame rate issues. And as you can also see, we are having some issues with the color blind mode system. So switch it back. Nope. Enemies are still red. This appears to be a permanent bug with the replay system right now, that sometimes the allies and enemies are going to be red. And I can't fix it. But I also can't pass up an incredibly good replay like this. So it's either don't use it and don't do the review, or deal with the bug. So I figured I'll show it off, and then maybe Obsidian will fix it. Now, that is an enemy LAV-300, Marcinja, engaging Sir Wizza as the Geek Lab comes flying up. The target has been marked, and he is going in no fear. Worst case scenario for a tank destroyer. An AFV who wants your giblets. He dodges another round, and the other tank destroyer eats a Sheridan round. They have now secured this lower section of the island along with this full platoon. I'm not sure what's up with that noise. I'm also not sure why we can't see the teams. Oh, because they're all enemy team. Yeah, this is not good, Obsidian, but Geek Lab has managed to spot out an enemy for his allied tank destroyers and is currently moving to engage further in. I'm actually going to cut the sound at this point in order to kill the beeping noise for you guys. I'm still going to have to endure it. But he's making his way in full speed right now. I do apologize for the lack of sound. This is not my fault. This is purely a problem with the game. He does find the artillery and stops to gun it down, which I agree with. The BMP2 is not known for staying stealthy once it opens fire. It is therefore more to his advantage to stop, aim, and make sure he kills it from long range rather than go buzzing in and get that all-steel construction shot by an artillery shell. Now he is coming up right into the backside of the enemy here, and looking for his target is a swing fire. That poor swing fire never even stood a chance. See, sometimes you're shooting these autocannons and you think that your ally's going to kill it first, and instead you still kill it. Now there's a BMP-1 Puma up here, and anyone who has one of those is probably a dangerous player, which reminds me, I'm giving them away! For 5,000 subscribers, I will be giving away 5 BMP1 Pumas that I have codes for, in addition to 5 WZ122s. So let's get there. That's up to you guys sharing and liking the videos. Making sure you leave comments and share and like with your friends. Please. Now that isn't actually an allied Puma. I stand corrected. But the scores are relatively tight, and he has just been using nothing but the autocannon, which, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, missiles are for special case use only for AFV players. The main cannon is your main weapon and what you should constantly actually be relying on. And Geek Lab, knowing this, has just been using his cannon, even against the main battle tanks. Now he's coming up around behind the Xylo and the Swingfire here, as the Xylo gets blasted by a T-64, and he's got his Puma friend as an ally to make sure that this thing dies. Ooh! Racks up another kill. And at present is going full speed in, right up through. And as you can see, he's doing it right. He is being the aggressor. And he's also using his AFV as a weapon, as he rips into the back of this WZ-122 who just keeps right on going and eventually gets turned around to face him. Now he knows he can't penetrate with his cannon anymore. He's got to wait for that WZ to fire because he is a potential target. The WZ, however, has terrible elevation and depression, and this is something that you have to know when fighting them. You can hear the switch to cannon. He knows he's going to have the rear of the target, so he opens up into its rear and takes him down. Outschooled by a pair of AFVs who aren't even in a platoon together. Isn't that something special? And he's coming up, and there's a Chieftain, Mark 6, who's just getting lit up, and, oh, got that terrible gun depression. Forgot that terrible gun depression. Oh, he doesn't get the kill. But there's still one more enemy to slay. And Geek Lab is a one-shot for a high-roll heat shell right now from that OF-40. Ooh, but the Puma can take the round and deliver the killing blow. Now again, I do apologize for any confusion by this replay or by the fact that every single tank that wasn't Geek Lab was red. However, that's not my fault. Obsidian! Dialing! Just letting them know that their replay system is still bugged as hell. And they should probably consider fixing that. But in the meantime, let's go check out the final stats from this particular battle, as it were. Also, the constant beeping in my ears was absolutely driving me up the wall. But we do have the final stats from this particular battle. And it is going to be rather interesting for you guys to see this. So, here we have it. Performance on Lost Island, on encounter, 5,845 damage, all done with his autocannon. Cannot emphasize this enough to all AFV drivers. Your cannon is still your main weapon. Make sure you learn to use it properly. He also got Recon, Gold Star, and Ace Tanker, with 11 spotted and 2,700 spotting damage, and a total of 16,998 reputation with 270,000 creds. He almost killed the Chieftain, and then he forgot, I don't have any gun depression! But he killed a WZ, a Type 69-2, a Grostinka artillery, an LAV 300, and a pair of swing fires with nothing but AP rounds from his main gun. The Puma, who was supporting him, also did an excellent job at 4,200 damage, and these two combined carried their team in a Tier 5 match to victory, including against Tier 5 MBTs, as we saw the Chieftain Mark 6 and the WZ-1224 get annihilated by an AFV duo from Hades. He fired 157 shots, 117 of those landed on target, 40 missed, and of all of that, 89 penetrated. So about half your shots, even when firing at the sides and rears of targets, are not going to function well. But your important part is that you're doing the spotting so that your allies can deliver the fire, and you're selecting your targets carefully enough to make sure that your autocannon will punch through them. Particularly when you have a chance to get in close at point-blank range with someone who has a main gun and no armor, like that LAB 300 we saw at the beginning. Take advantage of it. Put your AFV right in there and just blast away. He can't get away from you, and on top of that, he's only going to get one shot off before you rip all of his hit points away. But this was a first win of the day with a ×3 multiplier. His actual reputation, raw, is 1300. Not bad. Still pretty damn good. As you can also see, the BMP2, as I told you, would not negate or mitigate any shots. All 4 shots he received penetrated for damage. Be very careful. You are in an AFV with no armor. Even if you think it has armor, it doesn't. You are definitely going to die if you are exposing yourself needlessly or in ways in which you cannot take cover. So, that's everything for this BMP2 review. What did you guys think? I do apologize again for the replay system, but this is the best replay I've had of the BMP2 in a long time, and I thought I would take advantage. So I have done my best. If you'd like to express your knowledge of this, i.e., did you like the video or not, shoot your autocannon at the like button. And if you didn't, dislike button's right there too. If you'd like to see the previous Armored Warfare review, you can check it out. Off to my left of where my camera is right now is that very review. Go have a look. Maybe you'll be entertained again by that video. I'm sorry there's no PvE footage tonight. I am recording this incredibly late because of the 11 hours I streamed Total War Warhammer today, and I'm going to have to go through and edit all of that. I do apologize that there is no PvE footage with this particular replay. Or this particular review, excuse me. If you would like to support the channel, you can do so through Patreon and become a moderator in my live streams! Or you can check out the ad at the end of the video by clicking on it and going and seeing the sponsor's website. Who knows, you might find something you like, or you might find something you buy. I never know these things. And that's about everything, guys. So, in the meantime, from my house to yours, this is Fiaura signing off for right now. And I hope to see all of your lovely faces next time. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.